And hello, everyone, and welcome into the B&T Sports Talk Show. I'm your boy T, and to my right is your boy B, and we are here for a post-Thanksgiving extravaganza. So hopefully everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving back on Thursday. Hopefully you got to spend some time with some family and stuff yourself with all types of delicious foods. So if you're first time listening to us, go ahead and hit that notification button. But actually, start with the subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button,
Yeah,
notification
let's
button.
get to that subscribe button
Like the
first, man.
video, please. We appreciate it. Appreciate you joining us. And if you know some folks that like our show or would be interested in sports, let them know that if they want the real information from real people, this is where they can find it. Well,
Yep.
well, B, how you doing, man? Happy Thanksgiving to or belated Thanksgiving.
Happy belated Thanksgiving to you as well, sir. I still have not removed my stretchy clothes because I'm still plugging
Oh
away
yeah,
at the leftovers that we currently have
same
right
here,
now. So
same here.
still powering through all that, man. But it was good. It was a nice little quiet Thanksgiving here. It was perfect. Happy Thanksgiving to your wife, to the family as well.
Thank you, sir.
Um, and all nothing but the blessings towards the end of the year.
All right, perfect. And maybe we'll get into it a little bit later. We'll talk about if there's anybody in the chat that wants to talk about what was on that plate this Thursday that was just better and awesome than anything else. Drop that line in. What's your favorite food? What's your favorite side? What's
Yeah.
going on? What's the go-to dessert? Woo.
And I wonder if people are changing it up because everyone has to do the traditional Thanksgiving stuff, right? So I wonder if people do anything different that's not a traditional Thanksgiving side or
Yeah.
main dish. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wonder if on people's minds with that.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you got some weird food that shows up on the table that we're not used to, or that maybe you haven't seen on your favorite Thanksgiving family movie, go ahead and let us drop it in. I'm
Yeah.
I'm curious to hear what folks have to say.
And
Awesome.
let's give a shout out to our Sacramento State fam here. The Sacramento State Hornets had their first playoff game against North Dakota and beat them 42-35. Our boy Brandon Knott, who is a fan of the show, recorded one tackle in the win, and they stay in Dakota in the Dakota area because now they get South Dakota
Dang.
on Saturday the 2nd at 11 a.m. So Stingers up. Best of luck to Sacramento State. We're pulling for you guys to bring home another FCS championship. So continue on with that, Stingers.
How about that? Going from North Dakota to South Dakota. What does that travel look like? What is that travel time?
I don't even know, to be honest with you.
What's
It's got
out?
to be
What's
what,
out
about like
there?
a
Have
40 minute?
you ever been to either of the Dakotas?
I have no desire to go any of those places there. You know what I'm saying? Zero desire to sit there and go to any of the Dakota states there. Um,
Oh my gosh, I feel like I may have flown over one of them, but that's it.
I probably flew over it going to like some softball tournaments in my past, but not anything as far as like, hey, let's take a family vacation to North and South
No,
Dakota.
we're not.
You know, we're not hating on
No,
any
we're
of the
not. We're
Dakotas.
not.
There's just
It's
it's not
just,
our
hey,
cup of tea.
where is it anyway?
And then this Bobby is in the chat here saying, "Little Brian, um, this man, we were on Call of Duty the other night. We were trying to win a game. I went down. I revived him. So people don't, they can stay in the match longer. I revived him. I proceeded to get shot, and then he runs off and forgets to revive
Oh
me. So I'm
my god.
standing right next to
Oh
him,
man. Did we
to say
not?
the least.
Did we not just have a
So
discussion last week about teammates and
to
Draymond?
apologize in this chat, and all will be forgotten about what happened. That was last night, by the way, and I was furious
I hate that.
about that there. And so, but his dessert is pumpkin pie, extra whipped cream, and my side dish just a little bit. O'Brien, you couldn't handle this side dish, sure. It's too much for you.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I'm not big.
Did we win? Look, yeah, we won. But when you revive a teammate, the teammate revives you. You're supposed to return the favor, and you failed to return the favor. You just ran and left me to die in my own
Just
gas.
used
You
you as a
jerk.
human shield. It's unfortunate.
So I go in there as the human shield. Like, I have no remorse. I have no style of play. I just go in there looking for everyone, and I try to shoot as best as I can. Does it work? 99% of the time, no.
That.
But hey, man, you got to revive me, man. It's the more people we have on the field, the better. Of course, it didn't happen.
I got you. Yeah, I get it, man. I plays a lot of first person shooters, and there's always gonna be the guy that everybody's like, okay, here's the game plan, and then when you turn around, that one guy is already 15 yards ahead of you, already in the middle of the gunfight.
And sometimes I end up on the other side of the map just looking for trouble.
Like,
You know what I'm saying? It's bad enough we got two other teammates that don't want to revive people, and they just let us die too.
man,
They don't
what is
even
going
care.
on? Where's the love? What's happening here? I thought this.
Bobby, look, Bobby apologized. All is forgotten. We'll get on that tonight, and I won't bring it. You guys heard it first here on this chat. We'll we'll
That's
we're
right.
gonna let it go.
All right. Well, look at that. Look at us solving problems, bringing people together after Thanksgiving. This is great. It's awesome. Um,
Yes, sir.
let's jump into the worldwide of sports, and we'll start
Mm-hmm.
off with, I think it's me. We're gonna start with the Raiders, and unfortunately,
Yeah,
this game really, I really had high hopes. The Raiders did come in, and they really brought it to KC. They went down, got a score, and then got the long run by Josh Jacobs to go up 14 to nothing at one point until the Chiefs came storming back, and then the Chiefs then went into the second half and really outscored them 17-3, which is where this game kind of fell off the rails. So I do like what I'm seeing, as I said last week, with the way the Raiders are playing. The defense looked really good, at least to start. Nate Hobbs had some good, playing good defense in their secondary. Crosby got one sack this game, but I guess when you step back and you look at it, they just weren't gonna really beat Patrick. They weren't gonna beat the Chiefs coming off of a loss. They just weren't. And although the Raiders really needed this game, and they put forth the effort. I mean, Josh Jacobs ran for
they did.
110 yards, basically that one long run, which is really where a lot of that yardage came from. Aiden O'Connell is slowly but surely coming into his own. He's making efficient plays. He's not turning the ball over. He threw the ball 33 times today, 248 yards, one touchdown, no interceptions, and was only sacked one
Mm-hmm.
time. So although 23 for 33, that's not great. I mean, he missed 10 passes or had some or wasn't able to hit the target, but that's okay for a rookie quarterback. So I like what I was seeing. I like that they're growing. I kind of wish they had started the season like this and just started with O'Connell instead of the whole first 5 or 6 games, because I really would like to see O'Connell with that opportunity to mature a little bit more before we get into the offseason, because once we get in the offseason, there's a chance that he might not be the quarterback and they might have a different head coach. So, but a good
Yeah.
effort
It,
overall from the Raiders. Just too much Pat Mahomes, trickery. We were talking about before the show. He had one pass to Kelsey for about 20 yards where he was scrambling and dropped the ball in right over the shoulder of the linebacker into Kelsey's hand. So, Mahomes is a great quarterback. Not much you could do about that, especially if you only sack him one time. So,
well, and there was a really good showing to say positive here. But man, the Chiefs just turned that. They flipped that scoreboard so quick.
yeah, they
It,
did.
it, it went from being the Raiders winning to you covering the 10 point spread. That's really,
Yeah, I forgot about that. I
you know what
did
I'm
do
saying?
that. Yeah, they did. It was a closer game than what it looked like. I'll put it like that.
It was
The
here.
yeah, they were in contention throughout most of the game until the fourth quarter, and then that's when it went awry. So, the bad news is they're 5-7. They're on the outside of the
Looking in
playoff.
now. Yep.
Yeah, outside the playoff hunt looking in. The Broncos are now 6-5 after winning a game, which kind of propels them into that, or at least into competition for the wild card slot in the AFC. So the Raiders may be looking at a situation where they're going to be playing on grit and heart for the remainder of the season, because they may more than likely, there's a slim chance, but they may not make the playoffs. But we'll keep. Actually, I gotta look at what games they got coming up. To be honest with you.
But you also got to look at it like this. Your season also really gonna depend is if there's one core guy if he's going to stay, and that's Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
The rest of the season will determine if he's going to be willing to stick around for another project, to say the least here. And Devontae's really not in his prime to sit there and wait for projects to develop. He's in a win now kind of state. And are the Raiders going to either be a team that's ready to win now, or hey, we may need another year to really establish who we want as our franchise quarterback when they literally just sent
Yeah.
away their franchise quarterback there. So this season really still means a lot for them, to say the least, when it comes to maybe not making the playoffs, but kind of showing Devontae that they're all in as far as what's going to happen next year. But if they don't show that, you may not have Devontae wanting to stick around for much longer.
Yeah, it's going to have a lot to do with the head coach and quarterback situation in the offseason. So, everybody's talking about Harbaugh coming in. Harbaugh is obviously a former quarterback himself, and I'm sure we'll be looking to bring in looking for to bring in or draft a quarterback of his own. More than likely, if that's what happens. I doubt that he would stick with Aiden O'Connell, unless Aiden O'Connell just goes crazy the rest of this season. But yeah, man, it's tough, man. And not to mention, they would have to trade Devontae Adams. So if they do that, we're talking about a full rehaul. They're going to have to get draft compensation more than likely. And at that point, maybe we're talking about a reboot or a rebuild instead of a reboot. So it'd be interesting to see. The Raiders got a lot of stuff up in the air. I'll be curious to see what happens at the end of this season.
They definitely do. Let's get caught up with Bobby in the chat here. He goes, I bet on us winning and lost.
Sorry, Bobby.
At least he won a $75 betting on a player and props, and Raiders to not score every quarter, which happened in
the worst quarter.
Hey,
yeah.
when you got to bet against your team, why the hell not there? And he does agree that we still really need to draft a quarterback. Yeah. Like I said, there may be a quarterback you may not have to draft. There may be quarterbacks available here. I mentioned them last week, last week. Kirk Cousins may be the guy who could kind of help keep things on a rise there. Obviously, you're gonna have to figure out what you want to do with Jimmy G, and then Aiden O'Connell. Also, if he shows out, you got to give him at least a fighting chance going into the next offseason to earn that starting chance once again here.
Yeah, I think Jimmy G is a great backup if you can hold on to him. The problem is you're paying him a lot of money. So I'd be curious to see.
That's an expensive ass backup.
Hey, the Niners did the same thing, man. It'd be interesting to see what they do. We talked about them being on the outside of the playoff picture. They got the Vikings, the Chargers, the Chiefs, the Colts, and then the Broncos the very last game of the regular season. Yeah. So it's tough sledding going through the rest of this. The Vikings are definitely fighting for a playoff spot. The Chiefs, the Colts, not so much. The Chargers, but the Broncos all of a sudden have become a resurgent team and have found ways to win games. So that probably would be a tough game too.
Well, and then you also they got to basically go undefeated. You have to run the table to make it, to give it a chance here, or at least put the effort into that here. Let's talk about another team who wants to run the table, and that is the San Francisco 49ers, who came out on Thanksgiving and shoved a turkey down Seattle's entire throat.
They ate the Seahawk. They ate the Seahawk. The Seahawk was the Thanksgiving meal.
And it wasn't even close to begin with, man. They literally started the game with a drive for a touchdown. Right. And the defense really held their own here. Purdy really showed a lot of poise with the. We've all seen he handled in those 3 losses with the interceptions, and he never really recovered from those. In this game, he recovered. Yeah. And again, Seattle is not an easy place to win for a lot of teams here, and you can see the Niners having a little bit of a tough time, a couple false starts here and there, but they handled their business the way they should have been. Knowing that this was a trap game leading up to the Philly game next week, this game had to be won, because now the Niners are in a really good driver's seat, because Seattle now has a tough stretch of games going into these final weeks here. What did you think of the game on Thanksgiving?
Well, man, I thought it was a complete dumpster fire. The Niners put up 17 points in the second quarter. It was over at halftime. If you look at this stat though, and this is what we talked about, right? They picked up Chase Young. You already got Bosa. You know, dude, they sacked Geno Smith 6 times, six
Yeah,
times. You know, and Geno's finished with one interception, no touchdowns. Yeah, they put it on him. This was a classic 49er beatdown. The 49ers understand that they can ram it down your throat running the ball. And once they get up by 14 points, their defense is so good that you might as well be down 20 points, 21 points, because that defense it's tough to put up points on them at all. Let alone back to back drives, scoring drives against their defense. So yeah, they do what they did what we thought they would. I'll just put it like that.
yeah. And for all of those who are worried about Nick Bosa, Max Crosby is one of the leaders in sacks with 11, right? Nick Bosa has 8. So it's safe to say he is turning it around. Now, does it speak volume to his contract? Kind of, maybe not a whole lot, but they went out and helped him because, quite honest, it was him only and Armstead on the defensive line. Dude, there was one point during that Seahawks Niner game that the entire defensive line had all sacked Geno Smith at one
Yeah,
time.
it was. Yeah,
So
it's
their defensives got they understood that they were not playing well in a month stretch, and they've turned it around and are showing why they were supposed to be the number one defense in the league for this season here. So
yeah.
uh,
Geno's
clicking at the right time.
Yeah, they are. Geno Smith was out there looking like one of those clowns from the carnival game where you throw the ball at it. You know, it just falls flat on its back and has to pop back up. I mean, that's ultimately what happened, man. I mean, there's nothing you could do about that. The Seahawks weren't going to be able to do what they want, especially through the air. Although they have some talented wide receivers with Metcalf and Lockett, when the Niners shut down your quarterback, it doesn't matter what else is going on. It's it's just a wrap for
Exactly.
your
And just think
team.
about it. We talk about situation, right? So you win this game in division, a rival who's challenging you for the division, and now Seattle's got to play the Cowboys Thursday night. They get the Niners again the following week, and then they get the Eagles right after that.
Wow.
So the Niners have a chance to really separate themselves from the division with Seattle's schedule here. Now the Niners schedule isn't all that easy as well because they still have
They
the
got the
Eagles. They still
Eagles.
get Seattle again, as stated. They do get a break by playing the Cardinals, but then they get the Ravens on Monday night on Christmas. So this is going to be a very, very good end of the month as far as for a lot of teams because that's when you're starting to see teams hit their playoff stride, and so you're going to get their best football.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. So yeah, and it's good to see that the teams that should be good are, because that lets you know that the playoffs is gonna be the playoffs gonna be good. It's gonna be awesome.
Before we talk about the other games, the NFL's got to be the worst thing to do is put a Black Friday football game in the middle of the day.
12 o'clock.
Worst idea the NFL has ever had. Thursday night is one stretch. Saturday after college football is another thing. But to make a team play on a Friday afternoon in New York, now the Dolphins beat the Jets, but did you happen, and Bobby brings this up, did you see Tua's arm was missing a big ass chunk from it
Yeah,
in his right
I
arm?
heard about it, but I didn't see it. Yeah, I heard about it, but I did not see it, man.
Oh,
Ugh,
dude, like a big ass gash like this. It was decent,
dang.
just missing from his arm. It was on a non-throwing arm, of course, but dude, that thing was disgusting. But shameful on the NFL for putting a Friday night or Friday afternoon game that was absolute dog water.
Yeah,
Like that was
it
just
was
stupid.
bad.
Don't ever do that again.
I mean,
Don't do
there was a time where this was somewhat of a rivalry, but it's gotten to the point to where you got this Thursday night promotion. They've been trying to pump up the Thursday night football game for a while now. Last year, if you remember, it just didn't exist on the week of Thanksgiving because the games were already on Thursday. This year, they tried to find a way to wiggle in one game on Friday so that they can continue to promote the Prime, Amazon, channel garbage. Like, man, it's not that serious. I don't think it's necessary. I think it's okay to miss 1 week of Thursday night football, seeing as how we had 3 games on Thursday, and just
exactly.
keep that game on Sunday. I didn't like that at all.
It was it was dog shit to say the least here. Sorry for the language, but that's just how I feel about it.
Yeah, man. Well, right. And so who we got next? So we've got now we're gonna move on to well, no, your team's still playing. We can't talk about them yet.
Yeah, we can't talk about that right now.
The Jags and the Texans. So this actually, believe it or not, was a game that had some playoff implications here. I mean, most times you hear the Jags and the Texans over the past few years, you think snooze. I'm going to, or I'm not. I'm going to skip that game. I'm sorry. But no, these
Yeah.
guys are really playing for something. And CJ Stroud has been playing really good and led a few game winning drives and attempted to do so in this one. But he came up just a little bit short. They had their kicker come
Hmm.
in to try to kick in I believe it was like a 54, 55-yard field goal.
The
And
game tying field goal. Yeah.
dink, it hit the post, the flat post on the bottom. So it just wasn't
Yep.
quite long enough and didn't get the kick to get over. And unfortunately, they ended up with a loss, man. So, B, I know you caught a little bit more of this game. What did you think of the AFC South showdown of the year?
I didn't first. I didn't think those words would ever come out of one of each other's mouths, to say the least. Here, I really enjoyed watching this game here. The Texans, honestly, they really shot themselves in the foot with some of their calls here. They had basically a 4th and 1 in their own territory and decided to go for it, which is the right thing to do. But instead of running the ball, they went for about a 15 to 20 yard deep throw that he overthrew the tight end on, and it was a turnover on downs. Instead of just playing the field and playing the clock, they went for a home run. I mean, a young team, really, no one expected much, but those are the kind of things where maybe the situation here, as far as kind of really managing the game there. Trevor Lawrence had an amazing game, threw for over
Yeah.
300 yards. Um, Both teams, again, I think offensively and defensively, this was a perfect game for the two of them here. There was no really one-sided affair, to say the least. But now the Texans are falling a little behind as far as this. Their season series is tied with the Jags, so they have to hope that the Jags can't take another loss to get back into winning the AFC South here.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah,
Um,
it's. I mean, they're gonna have some bumps as far as decision making. They are a young team, so we'll see how they continue to progress. It's good to see that they're in it though, and hopefully
oh,
that
100%.
continues. It's good to have some new blood in the playoffs for sure. As we saw with the Jags, well, what was it last year, a couple of years ago, whenever they got in and played the Kansas City Chiefs. So anyway, let's see. Next up, we've got. Dude, why are my like notes everywhere? Here we go. We've got the Bills and the Eagles, which probably was the game of the week here. Um, Man, so this game goes back and forward. I mean, we saw some signs from the Bills having life the past couple of weeks if they've sort of gotten back into the thick of things. The Eagles just coming off of beating the Chiefs, and this could have very well been a trap game. And when it started, it kind of looked that way. Josh Allen looked crisp. He was on point. Made a lot of plays with his
Mhm.
legs. You had another big game from Stephon Diggs, and Hurt was out there dishing that thing as well. Man, this game started off with the Bills having quite a little bit of a cushion, and the Eagles come storming back, and then it turns into an all-out shootout in the fourth quarter, all the way
Mhm.
down to field goals at the end to send the game into overtime, where the Eagles kicker kicked a 60-yard field goal in the rain, and
Yeah, in the
and made
it
it
was terrible
and
conditions.
made it to send it into overtime. The Bills get a field goal in overtime, and then Jalen Hurts wins the game on was it? It was yeah. Jalen got that last run, the
Yeah.
run in for the touchdown at the very end to seal the deal. Man, the Eagles are good, man. They don't come in. Although we see the Niners have a lot of these dominant games where they just beat teams, but the Eagles they're a team where they just find a way to win. Last week they were a drop pass away from losing against the Chiefs. This week they go into overtime and find a way to dig out a win after it kind of looking like the Bills were on their way to a victory. So what do you
Yeah.
think about this team, man? I think this team's got a lot of heart, man.
At first, I thought the Niners were working their way back into being the best team until after today. The Eagles have cemented themselves as the best team in the NFL because of wins like this. We've seen a lot of championship teams kind of fold, and they, even without winning that championship, this helps build championship mentality, making your way into the playoffs here. This is a game that a lot of teams would have lost, being down by this much in a weather situation like this. It was a bound for a victory, and they did not fold in.
Yeah.
They knew how important this game was to them because they know the Niners are right behind them as far as trying to grab that one seed. This keeps it at a 2-game minimum. So if the Eagles find themselves losing to the Niners next week, they're still holding a game lead on
Yeah.
them at the time. So these are the games that they must have, and they shouldn't have won this game with the way it was going. Josh Allen played his ass off, to say the least here. Um, they found a
Yeah.
way. You find a way in games like this to win. And at this point, it doesn't matter because the wins have to start piling up. And they found a way to do it. So, as of right now, I would say the Eagles are the best team in the NFL.
Yeah, and for good reason. And like I said, it's not, the 49ers have a lot of impressive wins where they dominate teams, but their
Yes.
losses were awful. So, the Philly is finding ways not to lose those two games that the Niners gave up and turn those into wins, and that's why they've only lost what, one game this entire season? Are they at,
One The one game that right now,
yes.
but look at the wins
Yeah.
in this stretch. I'm pulling up the Eagles schedule right now because quite honestly, it's very impressive here. Since the loss to the Jets, they've beaten the Dolphins, they've beaten the Commanders, and then they beat the Cowboys, the Chiefs, and the Bills right after that there. They get the Niners, the Cowboys again, and the Seahawks. If they win all of those games, they're the best
Yeah,
team.
B says it's a wrap. It's
Uh,
over, But yeah, no, I agree, and that's what scares you about this team is that even in moments where it looks like they may not have it this week, they still finding a way to win. Versus some of the other teams we see, even with the 49ers, when it looked like they didn't have it, they didn't have it, and they lost those games. And like you said, it's almost where it's like we'll get them the next time. The Eagles are playing with a different type of mentality altogether. There is
yep,
no next time. They're playing every game as though they got it, and they continue to have that belief until the very end. So, kudos to them and their coaching for being able to get that out of that team.
absolutely. Let's get a little caught up in the chat here. Bobby has a question for you,
Yeah.
T. He says you guys are in different. We're on different teams. But I'm wondering what you would think about Harbaugh coming to the Raiders and drafting J.J. McCarthy from Michigan.
I mean, I watched the kid play in this game against Ohio State. I mean, I don't know. He didn't look incredibly impressive, but I mean, he's a good. I'm not the best person to ask about college quarterbacks. I don't watch a lot of college football, but I'm sorry, man. When I watched that game against Ohio State, it's so noticeable how different the level of play is for me that
Yeah,
it's kind of like, yeah, JJ McCarthy looked good for moments, but also he didn't stand out as being that great. I mean, their running back seemed to be the best player on the team. I don't know. So I don't know. I'll have to look and see, and hopefully I'll get a closer look at some other college quarterbacks. But I don't watch a ton of college footballs, so I don't know about Harbaugh bringing in a rookie quarterback like that. I'd have to hear more about and see more of J.J. McCarthy to think that he's better than what other veteran quarterbacks are out there and better than the Aiden McConnell that's already started, 5 or 6 times in the NFL. So we'll see.
yeah. And then he references his brother. I told him Albert is crying over Jordan Love. I'm Albert. He told me to call you Oscar from Sesame Street, so I'm calling you Oscar from Sesame Street tonight here.
Dang, man.
I don't see the Ravens losing today against Sherbert. I really don't here. The Ravens defense is just they're on point today already, only allowing 3 points to the Chargers on the road. So we're gonna hopefully they find a way to just maintain it for the
Hey,
second half. That's all I'm saying.
does Herbert still have that big, giant, cartoonish looking cast on his finger? Or did he finally get that thing
Nah,
removed?
he reduced it. He reduced it to just a finger tape now, because we all know that helps with
he,
dislocations. It's just tape,
he
you
had
know.
like the permanent. He had like the permanent. He was like permanently flipping off everybody as he was throwing the ball. I thought I was enjoying that for a little while.
And then Bobby, me either. I just watch NFL, but I scout a little during draft time because every NFL fan starts scouting during
You
draft
got that
time.
right.
We all
That's the
see
only
everyone
time in
showing
that
up at
matters,
the
baby.
draft. Oh yeah, we drafted him, but you guys have never seen a game that he's ever played. So stop it. Jaden McDaniels is actually a really good quarterback from LSU. He spent 3 years at Arizona State and then transferred over to LSU. And he may be up for the Heisman here. There's Bo Nixon from Oregon as well, who's going to be a really good NFL product. Caleb Martin or Caleb Williams, I should say. There's going to be a lot of good quarterbacks coming out of college, but again, you're not rebuilding. You're looking for something for now, if that is the case. And if you bring Harbaugh in, he's looking for something now.
Yeah, I think that's the question. Is what direction are they going to go in? And that's why it's such a question mark. Are they going to look for a rebuild? Do you start selling away all your talent the way that John Gruden did when he came in, and then hope to restart the system?
Yeah.
So yeah, he said Bo is a system quarterback in my opinion. You talking about the quarterback from Oregon? Yeah,
Yeah, Bo
I
Nixon from
agree.
Oregon.
Any quarterback from Oregon is yeah. Yeah,
Is a plus.
they run the same
Justin
offense.
Herbert is probably the best.
Yeah, they're running the same offense for
Um,
25 years. They,
hey, we were talking about Thanksgiving
yeah,
earlier. Um, so obviously, 3 games of football, 3 very bad halftime shows. Thanksgiving halftime shows are turning into mini Super Bowl halftime shows.
but why?
It all started in Detroit with Jack Harlow, who I had no idea about. They literally put just an igloo in the middle of the field for him to perform on that nobody could see, to say the least. He did like 2 songs, maybe.
Yeah,
And he had like this pretend hype man behind him that was just absolute trash. And then Dallas goes above and beyond. They get Dolly Parton for this halftime show.
oh man,
The lady's 70 plus years old. She did for good for what she did. They had her dressed out in a cowboy cheerleading outfit, and she's holding on to the stage for dear life so she doesn't fall off a bit while doing this show, to say the least. And then Steve Aoki closed it out for the Seattle Niner game, but they cut the halftime show. Like they just stopped showing it, dude. This was the worst halftime shows I had ever seen the NFL put on for Thanksgiving here. They just need to stop treat the halftime like a regular halftime. What I'm more upset about is that the Raiders should have been a part of the Thanksgiving thing because it was a John Madden tribute.
yeah,
Everyone
yeah.
was wearing the John Madden patch, and the team that he coached for was nowhere to be seen on Thanksgiving games. Like they should have been a
The
part of that if they're going to honor John Madden.
Well, the league loves John Madden, but the league does not love the Raiders for various reasons. A lot of it having to do with Al Davis and his suing of the NFL, and some other stuff. But here's the deal. Like you said, regular halftime show. Don't do too much. We are not entertained. There was college. I was telling you there was college basketball on and around the same time, and so there was the opportunity to just
Yeah,
switch over and watch other sports. I did not watch any of these halftime shows at all. And
you didn't miss much.
I mean, who are they trying to reach here with Dolly Parton? I mean, like football fans. I mean, I'm sure there are tons of football fans who are 60 plus. But for the most part, your spot is going to be right there between 35 and 45 or 35 and 50. And I don't know how many of those folks are looking for Dolly Parton. You know what I mean? I never
I wasn't
understood.
expecting it.
Yeah, the NFL is weird, bro. They do some weird stuff. Remember they had Coldplay doing I mean, like, what are you doing? Is it not the trend to go find popular artists of the time and get them to do these things? And I think that's where the NFL has lost its way. They're not don't they don't pay enough to get people to do these things, so they can't get the best of the best to show up and do some of these events anyway. I don't even know who Steve Aoki is. I
He's a
mean,
DJ. He's a DJ.
a
He's a really good
DJ?
one.
How does a DJ
He's a
do a
really good one.
halftime show?
DJ Khaled does full blown
No,
shows,
no,
and
that's
all we get
different.
to hear is
DJ Khaled has to have a feature to even be on stage. Let's be honest. He's not just up there on, and not only that, he's the loudest. The loudest. He doesn't even DJ anymore. He just makes songs and screams over
I
them.
don't think he does.
Yeah. So Steve Aoki's DJing, but there's nobody dancing. Like, were there people on the field dancing or what? I don't get it, man.
They had like a little small group of people on the stage
I
dance
see.
or on the field dancing with the mascot.
Interesting.
Bobby keeping us busy here. Going, I agree. Honor John Madden, but exactly the league will continue to f us with bad ref calls and keep us down. I mean, look, the ref calls are one thing, but also just having a bad product on the field. It also counters with that. But if you're gonna, I'm just saying,
we've been the most penalized team for years now. I mean, the league does not like us. The league does not like us, man. The league does not like us.
And then he goes, I'd rather see Brian singing and dancing on a pole, to be honest. You got to pay for that show on Friday nights, my man.
You know what?
That ain't free, to say the least.
Yeah, well, let's just say the only dried up turkey you saw on Thursday.
Dolly Parton. Come on, man. Dear life, I was like, oh my God, she may fall off the stage.
Oh my God.
I was like, oh Jesus.
Oh,
well. Dude,
B, I'm losing you. I'm losing you, buddy. Oh, there we go.
Oh, you got me now?
Yeah, I got you now.
$1 Bob. But hey, man, the NFL just get better, man. You guys had a terrible week. Friday night, the games stop.
Yeah, please help us all out. Stop trying to entertain us with something other than football, NFL. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's move on to where we our picks. Our picks. That's right. Where are we? Let's take a look. So, B man, you went 1-2 this week. You got the Steelers at -1.5. Texans, they did not get the job done, and the Cardinals, I don't know what the heck that was. Apparently the Rams,
they got their asses blown out. What the hell?
The Rams were like, we're not that good unless we play the Cardinals, so they showed up and got the job.
I was like, what the hell? Thank you to my homegirl Michelle. She's a big Steelers fan, so I know she was rooting for them. So she was probably rooting for my pick as well. So that's probably the one win I'm gonna get, and because of her, I'll take that W. So thanks, Michelle. T, you are 1-0 and a tie right now. The Bills lost by 3. Yeah. They were underdogs by 3, so that's a tie. Your Chiefs turned it around and basically won you that game by the end of the third quarter. Yep. And then you have tomorrow's game about the with the Vikings. How do you feel with that against the Bears?
Well, I've got an opportunity to go. What is this? 2-2, 1-0. I guess you'd say with the tie. So yeah, man, I'm confident in the Vikings. I think they have something to play for, whereas the Bears don't. And I think they're going to go in and get the job done against a team that's been at the bottom of the NFL standings since the beginning of the season. So yeah, I like my chances. I like my chances.
Bobby, I am so consistent with my life. One right pick in Pick'em Dummies, and I get 1 kill in Call of Duty. That's consistency if I've ever seen it right there.
Oh my gosh, I gotta get on with you guys, man. I play COD, usually just the multiplayer. I haven't played Warzone in a minute, but yeah, man.
Oh,
kill him.
Talk about fantasy football. I know you have a lot to say about last week.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Let's talk about it. So yeah, I lose the last week's game by I think 5 points. My last player standing was Patrick Mahomes, and there was at the end of that game, whatever what's that wide receiver's name? One of those 2 last name guys, Scandrick.
Drop a ball. Drop a ball.
They called the perfect play The guy gets wide open, beats the safety. The ball hits him right on the hands. He drops it. There goes. Not only did Pat lose the game, I lost the game, and I felt like Patrick Mahomes. I wanted to fire and trade every single one of those wide receivers. Get them out of here. Trade them today. Call up the nearest high school and get 5 kids that could probably have caught that same ball. It was ridiculous, man. And I can't imagine you playing with one of the best quarterback in the entire league, and here everyone is dropping passes like they're handling hot hot cornbread on the stove. It's terrible, man. Terrible, terrible, terrible. And so is my fantasy team, by the way, is this transition. Yeah, dude, I'm sitting at 5-7, 4-8 right now. I'm at the bottom looking up at this point. I lost the game today by about 15 or so points. So yeah, man, it's not looking too good. We'll see how it goes.
Man, I'm holding on for dear life here. As many don't know, I'm still undefeated, but I may take my first L this week. As a couple of players unfortunately did not show up. I'm currently in the lead, 167 to 161 to Pat Mahomo. But he still has Lamar Jackson going. I have Gus Edwards, Zay Flowers, and Justin Tucker. So as long as this turns into a field goal shootout, I think I may be able to find a way to pull this one off. But he also does have who is it? TJ Hawkinson going tomorrow night against Chicago. So I may finally take that first L right before playoffs. So, I guess I'll have to.
Yeah. Shut up. This guy's over here trying to play around like he's doing someone a favor with this conversation. Let's be honest here. The man is 10-0. The
11-0.
Yeah, whatever. Okay, great. 11-0. The second place team has how many wins? 5, 6. Exactly. We're going to remove this entire section from this podcast. We don't even need to talk about it anymore. Okay? The only thing you need to know is that I may be in last place. That's really the only conversation to have. You're killing me, B.
I got to look this up.
You're killing me.
You may also have the most transactions. You started this week at 28 different roster moves, and the next person had 20.
I'm an Al Davis protege. I come from the Al Davis ownership tree. Okay, trade him, fire him, baby. Trade him, fire him, and just win. That's it. That's what it's all about. Brian's 11-0, not me.
No, I'm 11-0 right now. But I've also had some really lucky days. But for the most part, I've dominated. But not this week here. Doesn't look like it here. Hey,
let's keep it moving. We got a lot of stuff we got to get through here. So let's talk about our power rankings in the NFL. We're gonna cover. Well, actually, we'll cover the NFL and a little bit of the NBA as well. But we'll start in the NFL, and I'm gonna start with my power ranking as we get to the last quarter of the season, where these last 3 or 4 games, and then it's playoff time, baby. I can't wait to ramp it up. And we're gonna get some special content out to y'all once we get these playoffs going. So I'm gonna start with me number 1, and what we'll do, B, if you don't mind, we'll go back and forward. I'll do my 1, you do your 1.
Let's go. Let's go from bottom to top.
Bottom to top.
We'll go from bottom to top.
We'll start from 5.
Yeah.
5. I'll start with my 5. I'm picking the Miami Dolphins, one of the best offensive and explosive offenses in the league. Tyreek Hill on his way to a 2,000-yard season. Tua needs some smelling salts now and then, though, because he starts games a little rough sometimes. But he's still a top quarterback in this league. And I think the Dolphins have, they have enough offense they're definitely going to be in the playoff hunt. And they have the capability of upsetting one of those top teams if they get that opportunity. So the only problem is they're probably not going to be, that first game that they host, they'll get, but the next game where they're playing on the road, they might not play so well because once they leave Miami, things change.
Yeah.
Next, go ahead.
The Ravens. The Ravens would be a lot higher on this list if it wasn't for those 3 bad losses, to say the least. But a consistent balance here, which I'm really enjoying here. It was a toss up between Miami and the Ravens here, so I'm gonna stick with the Ravens. Miami just doesn't have any quality wins for me to put them ahead of the Ravens at this time.
Yeah.
But I would say right now the Ravens are sitting 5 for me.
All right, so I'm gonna pick my number 4, and that is the Dallas Cowboys, who, when they're on, appear to be like the best team in the world. However, they can be a little inconsistent as well, but they played pretty well the past couple of weeks. Dallas, I think, has one of the better ranked defenses in the league. They can get after the quarterback, and their offense is explosive. Now they are coming off that 45-10 win over the Commanders, so that might be
Smoke and
fueling
mirrors, to say the least.
fueling a little bit of them being at 4 for me. But I think they are one of those teams who can beat. They can definitely beat some of the top teams in the NFC when given the opportunity. So we'll see how it shakes out. But again, I don't have them in number 1 or 2. I got them in number 4. But I think they're your 4th best team given how balanced they are when they play well.
I'm gonna take the Lions fourth as my fourth best team here, to say the least. Here, they've got some good quality come from behind wins. They also have some really bad losses. The loss to the
Yeah,
Packers
that was bad.
was not a good loss for them here. They are staying in the top as far as a very competitive NFC goes, with the Niners and the Eagles. The Lions are still holding ground in there, so I think they deserve to be in that top 5. So I have them at my number 4 spot.
All right, so I'm going to my number 3. So number 3, I know it's going to sound crazy to some folks, but I got 49ers. So my number 3 is the 49ers. This team is a pretty straightforward smash mouth football. They're going to run the ball. Now that Purdy is really perked up and shown that he can get the ball out to wide receivers, I think he's going to continue to thrive and show how good of a player he is. The 49ers had a little bit of a duck off where they lost a few games. But now they appear to have found their stride, and they can continue that through the last 3 to 4 games of the season. I think they're going to be right there competing again for that NFC championship game.
Yep. I'm gonna go the opposite. I think the Chiefs are the best team right now, or the number 3 team for me. They just really haven't moseying along. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's nothing really outstanding that they've shown, but they've just kind of cruised in here. I think if wasn't the whole Taylor Swift thing, I probably have them at number 1.
Okay, all right.
But because of that, no, I'm joking. They just really haven't beaten everyone, or they haven't really screamed off the radars as far as being that top team. So I have them at 3.
All right, and then so let's move on to my number 2, who are the Philadelphia Eagles. So I'm picking the Philadelphia Eagles at number 2. They've shown it today. They've shown in the past. They beat some of the best teams in the league. Jalen Hurts followed up last season and has continued to be on that upward trajectory this season. He can make plays with his arm. He can make plays with his legs. So he's a dual threat quarterback. And they have one of the best defensive fronts in football. So, yeah, man, you got to definitely say this team is going to be right there. This is a team that I know for sure will be competing to play in a Super Bowl once we get late into the playoffs.
Yeah. And both contenders are now at the 1 and 2 spot. For me, number 2, I'm going with the San Francisco 49ers. They really recovered from that tough 3-game losing streak that they had. The defense is finding the groove. The offense is there. I think we're going to see what team the Niners really have going into next Sunday with that big matchup between the Eagles and them. So this would be the ultimate test for them here. If they want to see if they can get past the Eagles, this regular season game will determine that.
Absolutely, man. That's gonna be a big game. And for my my number 1, you might look at me crazy, but I'll explain why. I'm picking the Kansas City Chiefs. Okay, and here's why. The Kansas City Chiefs play in the AFC. That's why. They have one of the best opportunities to get to the Super Bowl, because if you look at all these other teams we talked about, where are they all at? They're all in the NFC. It's like the Niners, the Eagles, the Cowboys. There's some pretty good talent. Now, the Buffalo Bills have shown to be pretty good. Cincinnati is not doing anything this year. The Broncos are resurgent. Ooh, scary. I don't see Jacksonville doing anything. The Ravens are kind of an up and down team and have shown themselves to be inconsistent. The Chiefs have Super Bowl and playoff experience, and once we get into the playoffs where the quarterback play is gonna has to elevate, um, you're looking at one of the best quarterbacks in the game, and I don't trust any of those other quarterbacks in the AFC to compete. So yeah, man, that's why I'm picking the Chiefs at number one.
That's a good. I mean, look, that's a good pick. It's to everyone's opinion. But the number one team, obviously, I think we saw it today. For me, are the Philadelphia Eagles here. They're just finding every way to win a game, possibly, even when they're not supposed to be winning these games. The consistency that they have been showing day in and day out. That loss, the one loss that they had, realistically, probably a game they shouldn't have lost.
Yeah.
To say so, they could be looking at 12-0 right now, but still 11-1 in this in the NFC in itself is speaks volume to what they're trying to accomplish this year. So for me, the Eagles that may change after next week, but for now, the Eagles are still the best team in in all of the NFL right now.
All right, and I can't argue with you on that, man. Well, let's. All right, folks, we're gonna transition into the NBA. This is where Bobby tells us he's leaving, unless he decided to watch a couple
He's a
NBA.
Laker fan.
Well then what the
Laker
hell?
fan
Then what
too.
the hell, man? I talk about the Lakers every week. All right, anyway, I am a Laker fan. If that was not obvious, I'll make sure hopefully you know that. But we're gonna talk about both the Lakers and the Warriors this week, who both have actually my Lakers have been doing good. And the Warriors had some moments too. I'll start with my team. The Lakers actually put together some consistent play over a stretch of 2 games. Wow. They beat the Cavs yesterday, and then they got a narrow victory against who were we playing the other night? Was it the hold on, let me check it out.
So, I mean, you guys competed against the Mavericks.
Yeah, we
If
competed.
that's a token to
We
anything.
competed over a good stretch of games here. My problem is LeBron James in the end of the Maverick games decided to take the ball in his own hands and throw it away. I don't really know what he was doing. As a Laker fan, that drove me crazy. We clawed back into the game against the Mavs with 20 points after being down 20 points at halftime. We get the game. We get the lead on a simple layup from Austin Reeves, where Austin Reeves was the primary ball handler. The last 2 plays of the game, all of a sudden LeBron jumps in and goes, "Hey man, I'm gonna do it." Okay, so he gets the switch on Kyrie Irving. I don't have to remind you. Hopefully, you watch basketball and you know Kyrie Irving is 5 foot nothing. He's about 6 feet tall. LeBron is 6'9". LeBron completely lets his homie off the hook and takes a contested 3-point shot. Okay, then on the next play down, they get another opportunity. He gets the same switch on Kyrie. He throws some weird alley oop to nobody, and it turns the ball over, and that's the end of the game. Kyrie hits a three on the other end after that first miss from LeBron, and the game is over. I I'm glad they fought, but Braun, what are you doing? That contested 3-point shot, just like all of last season, is not. It's not it. It wasn't last year. It's not this year. LeBron James taking a sidestep, that little weird where he picks the ball with one hand and shuffles over to the left and shoots basically a standing 3-point shot. It's a low percentage shot. I wish he would remove it from his game, especially in late game situations where you have a smaller player on you. You should be trying to drive and get to the basket. But this is a complaint. If you've watched LeBron any amount of time, he always does stuff like this. And so I was a little pissed off at that game. But thank goodness they came back and they got the job done against the. I'm still trying. Where were they playing? Was it Portland? No, they got the job done against the Phoenix Suns. So they beat the Suns. Oh no, that was last week. What the heck? Come on now. Where's the most up to date stuff? These sites drive me crazy. They beat the crap out of the Utah Jazz is what it was. They got the slim win against the Rockets. I don't know what. And then for some reason, actually, I can get into this, but the Lakers have won every single one of their in-season tournament games. Um, you know, what?
Conspiracy much?
Yeah. Oh no, I'm gonna
Conspiracy
I'm gonna
much?
get into it, man. And then they move on to beat the Cavs. They got Philly tomorrow, which is going to be a big game. But overall, better play from Austin Reeves in these games. LeBron has had to show up and play. I mean, AD killed the Cavs. AD was phenomenal, and played pretty well against the Mavericks as well. So we are starting to see their team kind of galvanize a little bit. They're still missing a lot of guys. Rui Hachimura is out now. They're still missing Gabe Vincent. They're still missing Jared Vanderbilt. So once they get these injuries lined up, I think we'll be looking at a much better team. I'm just happy they're not a 500 at this point. And they've got a really, really big road test against Philly tomorrow. So we'll see if they actually show up and play or if we're going to get 50% or 60% LeBron.
Well, on the other hand, had a week with 2-1, 8-9 overall. Obviously, the big thing for us is Draymond coming off of the suspension now, and he can't come back at a perfect time because they go to Sacramento on Tuesday, and we all know how much Sacramento loves Draymond and the Warriors for stomping on Sabonis and beating them in Game 7. Draymond finally had his first interview since the suspension. It says that, at the end of the conversation with Mike Dunleavy and Steve Kerr, he's just going to continue to be him. And it's 100% true. We're not going to ask it. The team cannot ask him to change now because it's going to throw off the chemistry of it. It's too late for it as well. But the Warriors just need to find. I'm calling out Klay Thompson and Andrew Wiggins. Curry has led the team in scoring in all but 2 games. Klay and Andrew are nowhere to be found in any of these games here. They've got to get it going. There has to be a sense of an emergency right now. You're 8-9 when your games are being kind of decided like they were last year, except now you're losing too many games at home. A lot of these losses are due to them being at home, to say. But the biggest positive I have going into this second unit is bringing life onto the court here. Because as much as the Warriors have lost, when you look at the total, the bench has actually brought them into it.
Yeah.
The game against the Suns, they almost shocked the Suns and beat them with some timely plays and some hustle defense coming from it. And it put Steve Kerr in a position saying, I can't bring my starters back in because my bench is the one who could potentially win this for us. You don't want to take that bench unit off when they're doing real well there. So it is something to be known for. Podziemski, holy cow.
Yeah, the rookie. Yeah.
Pretty good pickup, to say the least. Gets to the basket, not afraid of contact. His 3-point shot does need some work, to say the least. But I like his defensive mentality for this team here. And being alongside Chris Paul is going to help him out a lot. So a lot to work on for the Warriors, but a 2-1 week with games against the Kings and then a home and home against the Clippers gives them a chance to get back on the right track with Draymond coming back.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's gonna be a little bit of a growing process with some of your newer players, but 8-9 overall, you still got some work to do. I just the good news is Minnesota's not going to be the best team in the West, so
no.
they're not going to be at all. So
they're leading the Western Conference, and 0 people are talking about it. That's how much faith no one has in that team.
Yeah, I'm saying. Let's get caught up on the chat here. We got where we leave off.
Bobby.
Yeah, well, where? Which one though? Okay.
He said, "Nah, F LeBron and his disappearing hairline."
Oh man, I gotta support my team, man, through and through. But I'm a big Kobe fan too, man. Watched most of his career. Actually, got to watch some of the before Kobe, which was your old, oh gosh, Eddie Jones and Nick Van Axel and Eldon Campbell and some of these guys that nobody cares about anymore. but yeah, man, it's a fun time. It's a fun time. Yeah, but we all miss Kobe. Wish he was still around to cuss out some of the players on our team now and again. I'm sure you would have some things to say to LeBron.
They could use it right now.
Like he used to. And then we got We got a no. The NFL is known for trying to help the face of the NFL. Okay, Mahomes used to be the face of the NFL. Tom Brady. Yeah, well, I agree with that to some degree. It also helps that there aren't I mean that's the best story they got going. They got to make money. So I'm not. I can't be too mad at them for trying to run the story as far as they can. And then last we got who's the best two teams, by the way, Warriors and Nuggets or Kings and Lakers? Actually,
Don't make me answer that question, you jerk. That's rude.
Warriors and Nuggets or Kings and Lakers? Yeah, I don't well, the two best teams right now are the Celtics and the 76ers or the Bucks. The Lakers.
If we had to pick between those four teams, who would you put as your top two?
Oh, it's gonna be the Nuggets and the Lakers, the two teams that played in the Western Conference Finals last year.
Conference final.
I mean,
I'm gonna say the Nuggets.
Yeah, the Kings.
The Nuggets, but I'm not saying the other three.
The Kings aren't. The Kings are the Kings. Kings are the Kings.
Yep. A conspiracy.
Oh yeah. That's right. So here we go. So as I mentioned earlier, the Lakers have won every single one of their in-season tournament games. LeBron has gone off, had great games and all. They blew out the Jazz in the last game to finish 4-0 in their group or whatever. And I'll tell you why. So here's the deal. And I've talked about this before, where my conspiracy on the in-season tournament is, of course, the NBA is trying to test the waters, if you will, for a NBA franchise in Las Vegas. That's what this is about. Because at the end of this, they will play the championship game in Vegas, which means the NBA will get an opportunity to test ticket sales, revenue on, concession stands. They'll get to do all of that and to see what effect it has on the economy in Vegas, to make sure that when they send a team there, hey, it's going to be worthwhile. Now, what does that have to do with the Lakers? Well, it doesn't, but it has a lot to do with one LeBron James. I don't know if folks have heard this, but LeBron James is one of the first billion-dollar active billion-dollar athlete. And
yep.
One of his dreams is to play with his son, but the other is to own a franchise. So, the conspiracy is this. The NFL is conspiring with LeBron James, Adam Silver, getting with LeBron and saying, hey, LeBron, you want to have some stake in being able to purchase a team. This is your best opportunity to do so when we open up Vegas and stick a team in there. This is your opportunity. Show out. We want you to be the face of the in-season tournament. If they could get LeBron's face in Vegas playing in the final game in Las Vegas to get that draw and get folks to attend it, not only is it going to boost the sales for the event because of the star power, but it's going to cement LeBron James's name in the city of Las Vegas, so that when it's time to talk about putting a team there, he may also find his name as a part of an ownership group to own that team. You heard it here first, folks. You heard it here first.
Hey, man, now that you mentioned that, we may be calling out the NBA as far as what they're trying to do with this in-season tournament.
I'm telling you, it's what it is.
The Warriors shouldn't even be involved in it, and now they're just a game winning away from being in the quarterfinals.
Right?
Imagine having Curry and LeBron in the in-season tournament.
Right. I'm telling you, man.
Something's got to give. This is interesting. You bring up some good points. I can't even be mad about that argument.
Yeah,
there.
Man.
That's pretty legit.
I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. LeBron, look, how LeBron is. He only plays 100%, maybe a handful of games. All of a sudden they're just showing out and beating teams.
Happens to be during all four
right?
season tournament games.
What? They're 4-0. I mean, what's that about? They're literally, what are we? We're 10-7, and we made sure that those in-season tournament games were wins. So yeah, it's definitely questionable. Definitely questionable. Definitely.
Before we get into a really serious topic here, let's do our top 5 real quick here before we discuss the final topic. Before we get out of here, obviously we do have our power rankings for the NBA for the top 5. We'll do the same thing like we did for the NFL. Kick it off with your number 5 team.
Yeah, my number 5 team is the Dallas Mavericks. The Mavericks have been playing really well, surprisingly. Now they still play a little bit of that your turn, my turn with Luka and Kyrie. But those two players have been automatic, and they've also got Tim Hardaway Jr., who is pretty much a trained assassin. He don't do nothing but shoot when he's out there on the floor. And so they're offensively they're a very good team. Defensively, they leave a lot to be desired. But in the West, where folks are still trying to figure things out, I think Dallas is starting to understand what they can and cannot do, and I'm ranking them at number 5.
That's a good one there. For me, for number 5 is the Denver Nuggets. The defending champs have been just steady pacing through the league right now. Really not showing anything that's saying that they deserve to be at the top of the list here. But I mean, when you really look at the teams in the NBA, there's not really a team that you would put past Denver in that number 5
Yeah.
spot. Outside of who else I have here. So I'm going to take the Nuggets at number 5
So
here.
I'm taking the Nuggets at number 4. They would obviously be a lot higher. Remember, this is just the first quarter in the season. I'm sure they'll pick up the pace. They lost Jamal Murray for an amount of time, so I'm sure that's having an effect on them as well. And Jokic is big and lumbering, and so he's not going to be in shape until maybe December? Or no, excuse me, not December, more like February.
Yeah, when it
yeah,
matters.
exactly. So he's not in shape yet, folks. Anyway, so I got the Nuggets there. The Nuggets, they're so good at what they do that they're not really trying. They're kind of cakewalking through it right now. But when they turn it on, their offense is lights out. They know where each other are. They know where each player is supposed to be. They can run 2 or 3 plays to get the same outcome. They have one of the best, center passers you'll find in Jokic, who can also get his own points. And yeah, man, they're a team that's going to be reckoned with later in the season. But right now, they're just kind of going through the motions.
I'm going to take the Bucks at number 4 as my team here. They're not high on this list because they really have not done anything to kick this season off, and it's been a slow start for them to say the
Yeah, a
least.
little bit. Yeah.
With trying to get Giannis and Dame. Now they did have a really big comeback. I think they came back from 26 down today to win, but there's just some teams ahead of them right now that are showing a little more than what I was anticipating from the Bucks. And if you're saying, well, are you expecting them to be better? Yes,
Yeah.
100%. With 2 of those star players on there, their record does not reflect what they should be at right now. So I have them at number 4. Again, it's early in the season, but I just don't see them really bouncing off the radars as a top team right now.
All right. Well, my number 3, I got the 76ers. I mean, they did some addition by subtraction. They got rid of James Harden and his gross, food riddled beard and sent him over to the Clippers so that he can build a tombstone for his career. And now that that's done, Tyrese Maxey has stepped into his space and has continued to soar. I mean, Tyrese Maxey is out here shaking fools, dropping threes, and dunking. I mean,
Oh my God.
he is the anomaly in the Matrix. So he's been quite the player. Embiid has continued to be a dominant force, shooting 55,000 free throws a game. And so the 76ers are a really good team. They've got a good mix of star talent with youth, especially Tyrese Maxey. So they're 11-5 right now. They look good. They play my Lakers tomorrow, which is going to be a huge test for us. So I'm sticking with it. I got the 76ers at 3, man. I think they're that's where they should be. They're the third best team in
I
the league.
like it. I like it. Number 3 for me is actually going to be a shocker. It's actually going to be the OKC Thunder.
What?
They have gotten out to a very hot start. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is playing unworldly right now.
He's good, man.
If I could give an MVP vote, it'd be to him right now for what he's doing for that team here. Because when we look at star players, is what you're doing for your team and how your team is responding to that. And let's be honest, outside of Shai Gilchrist, who else are you saying is the top of that lineup there?
Role players, man.
Yeah. He is making everyone on that team a really good player here, and the record speaks volume to what they are doing. Because we all know the Western Conference is probably the toughest conference in basketball because 1 through 8, anyone could be a top seed at that point, and for them to sit in one of the driver's seats as a top 3 team, man, that's a young team that could be reckoned with for a very long time. So for now, I'm going to give them their flowers. Give me the Thunder at 3.
All right, so I'm going to jump up to number 2. I'm picking the Milwaukee Bucks. I think the Bucks at 12-5, they're in third place, currently tied with the Orlando Magic and a game back from the East leading and league leading Boston Celtics. I'm not going to throw Minnesota in that mix because I do not believe in them whatsoever.
No, no.
They got choked. That's all I got to say. The Bucks have Dame Lillard, Giannis. These two haven't had a lot of time to play together. And given how late the trade was in the season, there wasn't a lot of practice going into this or training camp going into this either. So I think as those two become more acquainted with one another, I think you'll see a better mix and flow of their offense. There have been a few games where Giannis has kind of led the charge when Dame has been out. Giannis is what we thought he was. He's a complete dominant force on both ends of the ball. And I think if they can figure out a way to combine that, to combine those two guys offensively and get a little better defensively, I think that they'll be right there. They deserve to be right there at that number 2 spot. And kudos to Orlando Magic for being 12-5 as well. But again, like the Minnesota Timberwolves, I am not a believer quite yet.
No, I'm not sold on the Timberwolves at all. In fact, they don't even belong in the top 10, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
For my number 2 team, I am actually going to go with the Philadelphia 76ers here. You kind of hit on all the points here as far as where this team has come from, being involved with that James Harden drama. But Tyrese Maxey, man, that's it. That's going to be the 6th man of the year right there. His improvement from, having to sit back and watch James Harden to him doing what he's doing now.
He's starting now, man. He's not.
The man is out of control in a very good way for this team here. And the 76ers still have a decent bench to go along with it as well. So I think for Joel Embiid, for him to find that number 2 go-to guy that he can rely on, you can see he has in Tyrese Maxey right now in a lot of these games that they're in. So they earned that number 2 spot right now as far as how they're coming along with everything. So I like the Sixers at 2.
Perfect. And then let's go up to number 1. So number 1, I have the Boston Celtics. These guys have been playing lights out. They've lost about 4 games this season. They're 12-4. The reason I'm picking them is because they have 2 burgeoning stars that are coming in or have been coming into their own in Jaylen Brown and Tatum. And what's striking is that they also managed to pick up Drew Holiday, and they also have Kristaps Porzingis, who actually is playing pretty well. So Kristaps has benefited from having those guys around him, has become a slightly better rebounder, and there's so much shooting on that court. And you mix that with one of the better guard defenders in the league. And you're looking at a team that can be pretty frightening. They're not old either. This is a young team with most of these players playing in their prime, outside of maybe Holiday and Kristaps, who are a little bit older. I really like what I think they're as good as they were last year, if not better. So I look forward. I think they're going to be in the finals this year, honestly. So Celtics number 1 for me.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. The Celtics number 1 team in the league here, 7-0 at home.
Yeah,
and that's a big. When you are fighting for that 1 seed, you want to be able to defend your home court, and they're doing the exact same thing. Jaylen Brown is pretty consistent, but Jason Tatum is taking that next step that I think you and I have been waiting for him to really elevate to, as far as being that next level superstar, not only for the Celtics but for this league as well. But the support around it, you mentioned it, Holiday, Porzingis. Porzingis is fitting so well with that group right now. We're getting the best version of Porzingis that we can see right now. So, again, I think the Celtics are probably going to sit in the spot for a while unless something is drastic to change.
Yeah, and to piggyback on that, Jason Tatum this season, he's averaging 28 points a game, 49% from the field, 36% from 3, 9 rebounds, and 4 assists. I mean, he's filling it up, man.
That's big time.
Yeah, he's filling it up. So he's definitely aiming towards being an MVP candidate this year. So let's jump into the Giddy with Kitty story.
Come on, man, that was
some strange stuff happening in the NBA.
Oh
And
shit, that was a good
while
one.
we all were sitting eating our turkey, apparently there was some information or photos, videos leaked of Oklahoma City forward Josh Giddey
Mm-hmm.
hanging out, we'll say, for our our under 18 viewers here, with a underage, which appears to be at least an underaged woman or girl. So and I don't know if you've seen the photos, but the deal is this is not something that you want to get leaked out. Now, I will say this is all alleged. I haven't seen anything or seen any news that said anything about who the heck this girl is,
Yeah.
what her actual age is. We have not heard any news about that. We've only seen the leak, and from what we know, the league is investigating it. So we'll see what comes out of it. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe this girl is is over the age of 18, or maybe these photos were taken out of context. Although there's one that looks kind of suspect, but
100%
yeah,
suspect.
but again, she's the one taking the photos and adding the captions. We don't know the full story. We don't want to throw this guy under the bus here, for being involved with a teenage girl. I will appropriate this by saying teenage. I don't want people to think it was anything further than that. But yeah, man. I mean, weird story, man. This isn't as bad as Dwight Howard, but it's pretty close.
Well, I mean, this is right at the line we talked about it. Wander Franco in Major League Baseball
Yeah,
was
right.
is under investigation for dating multiple
Yeah,
underage women
yeah,
in the
yeah.
Dominican
That's right.
Republic, and now we've got this going on here. You know, there's got to be something to help these guys out and just understanding again. It's hard to sit there and beat on a 20. He's only 21 years old, right?
Yeah,
So what better does he know? But I keep saying that these leagues have to do something with their young athletes to make sure that they don't get caught in situations like this. You have to help these guys out
yeah,
understand because look at Trevor Bauer. Trevor Bauer was a clear instance here that he got charged with something that ended up that not being true. The lady was lying here.
right.
You know, again, Wander Franco is under investigation. This is under investigation as well. But the fact of the matter is in this day and age, there are going to be people out there looking to get some sort of clout, to get something, to get their name out there, to make that money somehow, some way. Again, all speculations right now. We don't know
Yeah,
until the investigation is completed. But you got to understand the situation that you're in is as a guy who's seen on TV making millions of dollars. Someone out there is going to want to take what you have earned for,
yeah,
and now you're in a position where how are you going to defend yourself in this?
yeah, and
The worst word is underage. Like that is the worst thing that
yeah,
is
right,
happening right now.
right. And we'll wait for more details to come out. I do want to say again
Yes.
that this is the only information that was really leaked was just photos of like some Instagram type or type photos of the
Mm-hmm.
girl with Josh Giddey. I don't think there's anything beyond that that shows more happening. Again, we don't know anything about the girl. We don't know how old she is, but it is being investigated. So I think long story short, man, you know, probably not a good idea for her to be taking pictures of herself in you, in
No.
at the same in anywhere really. You know what I mean? Because if it comes out that this was misconstrued and it was completely false, and maybe the girl is just a fan, or the girl is not below under the age of 18, or whatever it may be, B, you could be right. Maybe this is a situation where it's like, yeah, man, you need to watch who you're around and be careful who you find yourself with. I mean, we don't know the full story. It could be a
Yeah.
situation where the girl said that she was a certain age but was not. We don't know. We don't know. So we'll kind of have to look in that. But like you said, B, it's better to err on the side of caution, and you got to have people around you that can help you with some of those decisions. Say, hey, man, you
Don't go
you
there.
check that driver's license, my bro. You know what I mean?
It's not so much that, but what are you doing out in that kind of environment at with your
Yeah. Well, you
career?
can't let a girl take photos like that of you, and
No.
no, nobody. You can't trust people like that. Ultimately,
And we're not sitting there saying that he should be doing it anyways. He shouldn't be.
yeah,
He shouldn't be out in these positions, but he can't be putting himself in these kind of positions, and that's exactly what he's done now. And now he's under investigation. He's got to understand too, this is going to carry with him all his entire career until further notice.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we'll see what turns out. We'll kind of follow the story, see what comes of it. But
Yeah.
hopefully it isn't what it appears to be, and Giddy can go on with his career and playing basketball and learn a huge lesson here.
I
All
think
right.
that's gonna
Yeah,
cover it, man.
that's going
We
to
went
do
a
it for
little
us
over.
tonight. We did go over. We appreciate folks who stayed over that time limit. We appreciate you for staying. Join us next Friday. We're going to do another Pick 'em Dummies get our picks in for the NFL for a big week in the NFL next week as the NFL season is in its last month. And then we'll cover some NBA in-season tournament stuff coming up too. We'll see if my conspiracy theory holds true and LeBron finds himself in the finals. So, all right.
All right, y'all.
All right.
Appreciate you
Until next
guys as
time, y'all.
always.
Y'all have a good evening and peace.
Laters.